All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here this afternoon for another edition of NASCAR Thunder 2004 on the channel. And here today we've got the Food City 500 at my favorite racetrack, Bristol Motor Speedway. Day racing at Bristol here on a Sunday afternoon. You got to love it. Coming into today's race, not a great qualifying effort. In fact, it was Labonte's worst qualifying effort of the season. That is not including the one race at Atlanta where he started at the rear of the field because he didn't qualify. So he actually did qualify, just not too well here today. But a pretty decent car in practice. It's a good handling race car. We're going to have to see if we can get some speed in it throughout the course of today's race, though. It's going to be a longer race for sure. 500 laps at Bristol. We'll see if we can make it to the end on a string of bad luck with Terry Labonte here on this final Thunder 04 season. We'll see how this is going to go here today. So without further ado, we'll take you into today's key points coming in, as well as the starting lineup. Also, like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We do these full race live streams every single day. It helps me out a ton with doing both, hitting the like button and subscribing as well. We're really close to 700. Maybe we can get there by the end of the stream.
Welcome, everyone, to Bristol, Tennessee for today's NASCAR Winston Cup race, the Food City 500. This is one of the most exciting tracks in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. So many cars, so little space. Wouldn't you agree?
I think the old phrase Rubbins Racing explains exactly what we're going to see in this one. Tight, fast racing with a lot of bumping and banging.
Look at the seating capacity, 147,000 on a half-mile racetrack. That's insane.
2002 was a breakout year for Kurt Busch and his Roush racing team.
That it was. With 3 wins and 10 top 10 finishes, he really showed that he is one of the rising stars in NASCAR.
Terry Labonte is towards the bottom of the points list this season.
Well,
Yes,
there's always
he
going to be
is.
someone who has to fill in the bottom of the points list. Of course, none of these guys want to ever see their names there. Sometimes it's just not your season to shine.
Steve Park is showing the importance of consistency this year.
Oh yeah, to have an average finish in the top 10 for the season is mighty impressive. It can often be the difference that wins championships.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Engines are fired around this world's fastest half mile, also known as Thunder Alley. A bunch of nicknames go along with Bristol Motor Speedway over the years. It's going to be a fun afternoon. Tempers will flare, and fenders will also be flared. We'll take you through today's starting lineup. Starting with the front row, Kurt Busch on the pole for the first time this year. Tony Stewart will start outside pole in second. In row number 2, it'll be Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. For Gordon, he has won 1 race this year. It was at Atlanta 2 races ago. Maybe he can get his second this afternoon. In row number 3, it'll be Matt Kenseth and Bobby Labonte. Labonte winless on the year, but for Matt Kenseth, he won in the last race at Darlington. In row number 4, it'll be Jimmy Johnson and Michael Waltrip. Waltrip also a one-time winner this season, running that beautiful patriotic paint scheme today. Waltrip won at Rockingham, the second race of the year. In row number 5, it'll be Kenny Wallace and Johnny Benson. In row number 6, it'll be Robbie Gordon and Terry Labonte. Row number 7, Jerry Nadeau and Ward Burton. By the way, Ashton G, Ethan, Sage Castillo, and King, welcome to the stream. Joe Nemechek and Bill Elliott will be lining up in row number 8. In row number 9, it'll be Daytona 500 winner Ricky Craven and Dale Jarrett starting outside of him. In row number 10, it'll be Elliott Sadler and Kevin LePage. In row number 11, it'll be Brett Bodine and Hermie Sadler. Bodine won at Las Vegas in the 3rd race of the year, virtue of after our DNF on lap 13. It randomized the finishing order, but obviously Bodine the benefactor and all of that. Casey Mears, rookie on the bottom and inside of row number 12 with Kevin Harvick lining up outside of him. In row number 13, it'll be Sterling Marlin and Mark Martin. In row 14, it'll be Jack Sprigg and Kyle Petty. Christian Fittipaldi and Mike Skinner will make up row number 15. And back in row 16, it'll be rookie Jamie McMurray and longtime veteran, great driver on the short tracks, especially here at Bristol, Rusty Wallace. In row 17, it'll be another rookie, part-time driver this time, though, Stanton Barrett with Ricky Rudd outside of him. Rudd and Labonte tangled together at Darlington at one point in time. Jeff Green and Jeremy Mayfield will be in row 18. In row 19, another rookie full-time driver, Greg Biffle, and his Roush teammate outside of him, Jeff Burton. Ashton Lewis and David Green back in row 20. In row 21, it'll be Steve Park and Ryan Newman. And for Ryan Newman, his poor qualifying efforts to complete 180 of Season 1 here on Thunder 04. As far as qualifying and both the race finishes go for him. And rounding out the field, it'll be Ken Schrader, pretty good short track racer himself as well. Maybe not as much in the NASCAR level of racing, but still a pretty solid short track racer nonetheless. Will be rounding out the field all by himself in row 22. Short track racing indeed. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in on a Sunday afternoon. The Food City 500 is about to begin. The green flag is in the air, and we are underway. And quickly, Labonte wanted to jump right to the bottom of the racetrack, in line behind Robbie Gordon. And we'll see how today's race is going to go for him. Got to really take it easy in a 500-lap race, especially at Bristol. And lap 1 is already going to be led at the front of the field, it looks like, by Kurt Busch, who started on the pole. Tony Stewart fell back a spot there. Bonnie feels really loose these opening couple laps of the race. Kind of spun the tires when we got into the gas at the initial start as well. Labonte looking to make a pass on Robbie Gordon for 11. These guys try to file themselves in line. He's trying to take a really easy in line behind Johnny Benson right now as well. Benson and Labonte have come together a couple times this year. It also happened again at Darlington in the last race. Right now, Benson is not bad enough to take a swing at Terry Labonte, but one little bit of contact for Labonte to Johnny Benson, and that will all change. So he definitely wants to try to get around him pretty cleanly, and he's willing to take his time early. As Kenny Wallace, who had another top 10 starting position today, quickly fading outside the top 10 in the opening handful of laps. That was a pretty big hit to the outside wall for Labonte off of turn 2. Car just kind of slid out from underneath him. It's all it takes. That's what ended his day at Darlington, just a hit off the wall, but he had so much damage on the right side of his race car, and already it's in the yellow here today. Labonte ran a near-perfect race despite DNFing and finishing 39th at Darlington. It was perfect up until really the last 30 seconds he was running in the race. Oh! Hard contact into turn 1. Bobby Labonte just drove right into the left rear of Johnny Benson. That allows Terry to get by his brother. How do they not wreck there? That was basically out of nowhere, and Terry had to check up in the center of the corner. He still gets around his brother Bobby Labonte, but that was almost a nasty accident right in front of him, basically out of nowhere. Johnny Benson working his way through the field early on as well. After qualifying 10th, he gets by Michael Waltrip. Terry Labonte will get by Waltrip as well. Luckily, it was Bobby that hit Johnny and not Terry. Terry just kind of followed Johnny Benson through the field right now. Surprised Benson didn't lose as much ground as Labonte did after the contact they made with one another. Bobby dropped back a couple spots as he tries to get back around Michael Waltrip, currently for 9th. Benson had a really big wheel hop getting into turns 3 and 4.
Number 10 is getting in your way. Stay patient. You're about 4 seconds behind the leader.
It's Dale Jr. who is now being reeled in by Johnny Benson as well. Top 5 have really kind of spaced apart. Really, the top 10 as a whole spaced apart about as quickly as you can here at Bristol. Now, no lap traffic has been consumed by the race leader yet, but it will be soon as we are already quickly approaching lap 20 here in a couple of laps. Benson trying to get around Dale Jr.
Keep digging. We need to pick up about 4 seconds on the leader. Number 10 is putting a block on you.
Not really sure if you can share draft much here at Bristol, but Labonte's going to try to do it on Johnny Benson. Might as well try something different. Maybe try to knock that rival indicator down more and more in case they do make a little bit of contact when Terry eventually tries to pass Johnny Benson, if he can even get to him. I mean, right now he's not really been that close. Really hard to share draft at Bristol, of course, but Terry's doing about as good of a job with it as he can right now.
It's going to make it hard for you to get around him. Number 10 is getting in your way. The interval to the leader's about 3
Luckily, Benson's also fast enough that it's not like he's holding up Labonte while Labonte is trying to share draft with him as much as he can right now. It's helping Terry hit his marks at least. Trying to run that exact same line that Johnny Benson is running here over the last handful of laps. Benson still trying to get around Dale Jr. Jr. continues to try and shut the door on him.
There's a 3-second margin between you and the leader.
There we go. Under 40 now all of a sudden. So he knocked it down 20 ticks just like that. It's good enough. Now he's going to try to make a pass on him. It's going to be tough though. Lap traffic is coming up. This is a fairly one-groove racetrack here at Older Bristol. Right around the bottom. Indeed, Sage lap cars are coming into play.
Leader's got 3 seconds on him.
Labonte's trying to keep that car as clean as he possibly can. In Season 1 in the Food City 500, we actually got the win with Greg Biffle, so it's not impossible to not only make it to the end of the 500 laps, but be in contention to win the race. We only had one caution that entire race as well, and it came right at about the lap 200 mark. So it was a fairly clean race compared to the night race that we saw later in the season. And that's what Labonte's going to need here today, and as well as pretty much most of the field. Just got to keep those fenders on the race car as much as he possibly can. Make as little amount of contact late in the race if you have a chance to win it. That's where the bumper will have to be displayed. As long as you don't have heavy damage to the race car. Because, again, you got to be thinking big picture. And I know Terry Labonte has been thinking big picture pretty much since Atlanta, as far as just simply trying to get to the end of these races at this point and end this consistent luck with the DNFs. Got a 500-mile races, a pair of them actually coming up here, going to Texas and then Talladega. So we'll just have to wait and see exactly how this is going to work. There's Greg Biffle in the 16 lap car right there. Not mad enough to take a swing at Labonte. Coming into today's race, as far as the rivals that are mad enough to take a swing at Labonte, it's really only Ricky Rudd, who's at minus 80. As Labonte is going to get by Johnny Benson. Finally, he used the lap car of Stanton Barrett as a pick, as Labonte kind of got stuck on the outside behind him, so Terry moves up to 7th. And he's still not far behind Dale Jr., just a couple car lengths.
Best place for him is in your rear view mirror.
Big run off of turn 2, but Junior is not only trying to block, but he's just trying to get around the lap car, I believe, of Jeremy Mayfield in the 19. Now even Mayfield's rolling right in front of Terry Labonte, not letting him through. I don't believe that's for position. I believe Mayfield's a lap down. Mayfield got a little tight. That's the opportunity Labonte needed. Just wait for him to make a mistake, then pounce underneath him. There was no choice of trying to force the issue to get around him this early. Now he drives underneath Steve Park as well. Great job keeping their focus, really everybody right now, outside of that heavy contact on lap 5 between Bobby Labonte and Johnny Benson. It's been pretty clean up to this point. Not as clean as Bristol could be, at least. And now Dale Jr. gets stuck behind Kevin LePage. Labonte just gets to his inside on corner entry to turn 1. Using the 57 car as a pick. Terry Labonte up to 6th. Lap 40 already. That's one thing about Bristol. It might be 500 laps, but that's because the laps wind by so quickly. Get about 4 laps in about a minute or less, give or take. Running nearly 15-second lap times almost the entire run. We'll tap to the back of Christian Fittipaldi now. Terry Labonte currently is about 3.5 seconds off the race lead still. No big issue so far. Labonte still in search for trying to get that first win of the season. Oh, he got clung on the 0 of Jack Sprague pretty much all the way down the backstretch off of turn 2 and then into turn 3. Labonte just kind of got hooked on him. Trying to trap Tony Stewart behind Ashton Lewis now, and it looks like that's what Labonte's going to be able to do. That's how Terry's been able to really pass the last 3 or 4 lead lap cars. He's been able to get around, just trap him behind a lap car. So although Labonte's gaining positions, he's still losing time from the race leader right now. Not sure exactly who that leader is. He's about 4 seconds back. In the 5th position currently as he barely clears Hermie Sadler off of turn 4. And we're now all ready to lap 50. Matt Kenseth running forward, Jimmy Johnson in 3rd. Kenseth just in front of Terry Labonte here as Labonte kisses the wall off of turn 2 again. We saw some pit strategy from Greg Biffle in the first race at Bristol in Season 1 as well, where he was pitting every 125 laps, just pretty much praying at that point it was going to stay green. And that strategy worked out because not only won him the race by short pitting, there was only one caution to show for, and it came in the middle of a long green flag run, so that short pitting was able to work out to perfect advantage. You have to wonder if Terry Labonte might try to do the same thing today. It's tough to tell, though, because you tend to get those phantom cautions for Cars exiting pit road from the first pit box, both at Bristol and Martinsville in this game, so it is definitely risky if Labonte short pits here today. I actually saw that happen in practice because there was no accident on the racetrack, and my spotter slash crew chief were like, there's trouble on the racetrack, and it was literally just a car pulling off of pit road. How was that the case? Because I literally just pulled on the racetrack to start practice, and the second car that pulled out was the first car on pit road. So that could definitely bring out a caution here today and shake the running order if we're in the middle of green flag stops. Obviously, if it does happen, it would mean we're in the middle of green flag stops, so we'll just have to wait and see how exactly that's going to play out. Now, also in Season 1, if I remember correctly, these guys were able to go anywhere between 160 to 175 laps on fuel. So although Biffle was short pitting every 125 laps, those long runs, it worked out for him. I don't know if that will be the case today if we get those cautions. Yeah, we only had one caution in Season 1 in the Food City 500. Bonnie's starting to close in on the race leader again. It's going to fluctuate back and forth quite a bit, I'd have to imagine, with this lap traffic.
Onside. 45 cars coming high. They're on both sides.
Pretty much been right behind Matt Kenseth, within a couple car lengths of him over the last couple laps as well. Bonnie's under 3 seconds off the lead. Kenseth's starting to close in as well. There's a huge pack of lap traffic right around the top three, and that is causing those guys to have a tight, congested battle with one another within the top three, because they're all within a second of each other. And now only 2.5 seconds separate the top five after a 60-lap green flag run. Just over a 60-lap green flag run here at Bristol.
Distance between you and the leaders, 2.5 seconds.
Oh, a little contact with Brett Bodine off of turn 4. Really got Labonte's car really loose there. Bodine trying to block.
Leaders running about 2.5 seconds in front of you.
Look at that train of cars right now. Ooh, Labonte almost got in the wall off turn 2. Starts to get a little sideways like that the longer runs, so tires continue to wear out. It's just unbelievable how the top 5 are all within about 1.5 seconds of one another. Especially this long into a green flag run, especially. Slight bit of contact. Bonnie's just finally able to get around Brett Bodine. Wants to trap Matt Kenseth behind the next lap car. A little contact in the back of Kenseth. And Labonte drives under him off of turn 2. Sorry, turn 4 rather. And that will move him to 4th as he kind of trapped Kenseth in line behind Jeff Green. Contact and Labonte goes around. What a save by Labonte. How did he keep it off the inside wall after contact with Jeff Green? Caution will fly. He'll drop back about 4 spots, but Labonte almost nosed it into the inside retaining wall and just barely saved it. He got clung on the one car, the lap car of Jeff Green, and around he went. So at lap 70, we have our first caution of the day. And Labonte, watch this, he just completely sideways, nose towards the wall, saved it enough to bring the car back around and not hit the inside retaining wall head on. We'll see if the leaders come to pit road. If they do, I think Labonte's going to pit. And it looks like they're staying out, so Terry Labonte's going to stay out as well. That was an incredible save. It brought out the caution still, but it could have been a heck of a lot worse. Green flag back in the air again. After 70 laps of racing leading up to the caution. I'll tell you what, that is a very tough save to make, not only on this side of a racetrack, but in this game in particular. It costed Labonte a few spots with them having to race back to the caution flag. He was in 4th at the time when it happened and obviously fell back to 8th. He gains 2 spots quickly on the restart with the lap cars lining to the inside, and Terry Labonte was able to get to the inside pretty quickly. Now, here's the problem. Jeff Green is probably upset with him after that. Even though it was accidental contact, Labonte just kind of pushed off of turn 2, and with Green to the outside, there was not a lot of room to maneuver his way out of how tight he got there. Everybody's still on old tires. I'm surprised nobody pit, but Labonte didn't want to restart all the way towards the rear, especially with the lap cars on the inside, so that's why he decided to stay out. And he doesn't have really any damage from the accident, the initial contact with Jeff Green, and that's it. And Jeff Green is really upset with Terry Labonte right now as Labonte drives back into the top 5, passing Tony Stewart. So Labonte maybe trying to share draft with Jeff Green right now and knock that rival indicator below 60, and he does. And it's just enough that Green will not try to take a swing at him. So now's the chance for Labonte to try and pass Green as he stays on the outside. He's giving Labonte plenty of room, and Labonte passes him cleanly. I mean, considering that Terry qualified 12th and he hasn't led yet today, on top of the lap traffic being in play pretty much since about lap 20. Ooh, in this race, man, Bonnie's car is all over the place right now. You saw it just wiggle and then jump all the way up the racetrack at 1 and 2. A lot of the Chip Ganassi racing cars a lap down right now. Casey Mears, Jamie McMurray, a couple lap cars in the mix. We saw Sterling Marlin qualify poorly outside the top 25 today as well. Well, here's a problem. Ricky Rudd's already a lap down, and Terry Labonte's going to have to pass him at some point. And it's not like he can knock that rival indicator below 60 because it's at minus 80. So this is going to be a fun pass for Terry Labonte to try and get around Ricky Rudd as he slides underneath the 17 of Kenseth, and he'll pass him for 4th off of turn 4. So Labonte right back to where he was at the time of the first caution now. Rudd's keeping up with Kurt Busch right now. That might open the door for Labonte to get by Busch. At least going to get to his inside off of turn 2. So how's he going to get around Ricky Rudd now as he's moved up to 3rd? Maybe Rudd's got a fast car. He's going to try to draft with him, but it's going to take a little bit with Kurt Busch putting a lot of pressure on Terry Labonte. It's going to be tough, but I think for Labonte's sake and trying to keep that car as clean as possible, even if he does make it through the contact with Ricky Rudd, he wants there to be no contact whatsoever. It's going to take kind of a long time to do this, though, here at Bristol. And again, he's just really hoping that he's able to knock it down below 60. Down to minus 74. Labonte just trying to race as smart as he can right now. How about in the top 3 right now, we've got 3 Hendrick Chevrolets. Terry Labonte in 3rd, but right now it's Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson battling for the lead. Gordon's had a very strong start to the season. Looking like one of the championship front runners. Already 1 win. Jimmy Johnson to his inside, though, so they're side by side out in front of the field. Johnson tries to take his first lead of the day. There's a lap car right in front of him that's kind of holding him up. But Johnson's going to be able to complete the pass cleanly on Gordon.
Now 1.5 off the leader. Number 21 is throwing a block on you.
And Labonte just taking his time right now. Down to minus 60. The leaders are right there in front of him, and Ricky Rudd, despite being a lap down early, he had a bad qualifying effort, so I'm sure he's got a decent race car.
21 car is blocking.
So there we go. It's down below minus 60. I did not think Labonte was going to be able to do that originally. I was at minus 80. But he was. 1.1 off the lead. Hasn't led a lap yet today, so he's still trying to search for those first 5 bonus points. And he's playing it smart with Ricky Rudd here today. Luigi Fan 809, welcome to the stream. Bird jokes can really rough. Yes, they can.
Let's see if we can lead this thing. The 21 car isn't going to let you out easily.
Ricky Rudd's even caught the top 2 right now. He might be able to just follow Rudd all the way through the field, and that could be one way for Terry Labonte to take the lead. I mean, that first lap car, I'm not sure who it is yet. It might be Christian Fittipaldi in the 43. I could be wrong. Actually, I think I am wrong. I don't think it's Fittipaldi. Whoever it is, they are slowing up the top 2. Labonte finally to the inside of Ricky Rudd.
Still beside you. You let him by. He's going to make things tough on him.
And that's a nice clean pass on him. Labonte, a little bump to the back of the 24. Moves him in line behind Sadler, who's been holding off both Johnson and Gordon for quite a while. And now Labonte is going for the lead down the back straightaway and into turn 3. Johnson's crowding him right now, but Labonte's trying to hold Johnson behind the lap car of David Green, and Labonte leads his first lap of the race at lap 101. 5 bonus points for him. And we have just less than 400 to go now as we're over 100 laps complete.
Right front tire's wearing down. Try another line before you
Oh,
go
jeez.
fast.
At what age did I start watching NASCAR? I don't know. Ever since I can remember, I've been watching it. I'd go over to my grandparents' house to watch the races all the time on the weekends, and I had watched it even before that, from what I can remember as well. I couldn't tell you what my first race was or when exactly I started watching NASCAR. I've basically been watching it since I've been out of the womb. I really don't know, honestly. I don't have a definitive answer to that question. Wow, Bonnie's car got really loose, almost like turned by itself. Going off into turn 1, like Terry barely turned the wheel. Oh, we got an engine failure right in front of the race leaders. Christian Fittipaldi down on the apron of the racetrack has just blown an engine. Well, at least that's one way for Labonte to get by him. We stay green, and Fittipaldi's going to have to coast at the pit road now. First engine failure of the day. Jack Sprague will go another lap down.
Number 16 is throwing a block on you.
Still a half-second lead for Labonte over Jimmy Johnson.
Got one outside. On your line.
Labonte had a pretty fast car, fastest in first practice. Despite qualifying 12th, he was also second fastest behind Jeff Gordon in happy hour in that final practice session. Just an underwhelming qualifying effort. It took Labonte over 100 laps to get to the lead, but he's finally up in the front. He was being extra patient, about as patient as he could be, despite the early caution on lap number 70. We've already gone 40 laps of green flag racing into this run. We have not seen pit stops yet today, so these are the same tires these guys have had since the start of the race. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream. Oh boy, contact with Kenny Wallace. Bonnie gets by him and Steve Park. Couple lap cars there. Labonte starting to pull away slightly. A 1.4 second lead back to Johnson, followed by Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, and Kurt Busch, the top 5. So top 3 are Hendrick Motorsports, 4th and 5th. Roush Fenway Racing, probably 2 of the more dominant teams back in the early to mid 2000s, and they're all taking up the top 5 right now. '16, I'm sure, would have been a great introduction to NASCAR. That was a pretty good season. From that photo finish in the Daytona 500, there was a couple really, really close finishes that year. I remember the one at Phoenix between Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick as well. They were beating bang into the line. But there was some other, good races back in 2016 as well. Some good moments, and obviously it ended the season with Jimmy Johnson winning his 7 titles. So it was definitely a solid year, that's for sure. Wasn't that that was the year that Tony Stewart got his final win too at Sonoma, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of good moments in 2016. That was probably a good time to become a fan. By Bristol standards, Labonte's really kept that car about as clean as he has been able to, really, up to this point. .8 second lead now to Johnson. Dale Jr. jumped into the top 5 a couple laps ago, knocking Kurt Busch backwards a little bit more. Kurt Busch started on the pole. Tony Stewart, who started outside pole in second, has been the back half of the top 10 most of the day. So good qualifying effort, but kind of started going backwards there from the start of the race. Almost a quarter of the way done already. Once we get to lap 125. Wow, that was a slide job to get by his teammate Joe Nemechek. The only one of the 4 Hendrick drivers that are just not running well today. I don't see Labonte short pitting at all here. So that's something, too, I didn't even realize. But Christian Fittipaldi, with blowing that engine, he is at least one of the 2. Because, again, remember, Bristol has 2 separate pit lanes. One on the front straightaway, one on the back straightaway. But Fittipaldi has that first pit box on the front straightaway. So unless he's able to get that car back on the racetrack, which it doesn't look like he's going to be able to, that might take away one of the chances for a phantom caution. Now it's just going to depend on who's in that second, or I should say who's in the first pit box on the back straightaway. That could still bring out a phantom caution, but if that driver ends up getting knocked out of the race with an engine failure as well, then you're looking at, okay, maybe you can short pit. We're probably not going to get that phantom caution. As we say that, these guys are about 3/4 of the way through their opening fuel run. And saved a couple laps worth of fuel under caution. So they might be able to go a little bit further than what they were going to be able to originally. Here's Jeff Burton. Burton had a really solid run at Darlington. He was in the top 3 for most of the race. Unfortunately, he finished just outside the top 10 by the end of it, but he was really solid. He led some laps throughout the course of the day as well. Nichols has done a pretty good job of the loose race car, too. Loose is fast if you can hang on to it. Sorry, Labonte, I should say. But loose is fast if you can hang on to it. And so far, he's hung on to it a pretty good amount of times today. The car just kind of slides on quarter entry, and very little. He has been overcorrecting it and walking it up the racetrack a little bit. And usually when he does do that, there's nobody around him outside of that one time where he made a little contact with Jeff Green and spun off of turn 2, bringing out the first caution, but he was able to save it up and not even hit a single thing outside of Jeff Green, which started the accident with the minor contact. It goes to show how easy it is to get these cars to turn around with very minimal contact, even on a half-mile short track like Bristol. I mean, you're still going at the point of impact 120 miles an hour, so it's still very easy for these cars to get out of shape, even with minimal contact like that. Still about a 4-second lead. Heavy amount of lap traffic right in front of Labonte. He's taking his time with it. Whatever he's done over this opening run of the race, he's just going to have to continue to do as this race progresses. Because he has done a pretty swell job, even though he's only led about 30, just over 30 laps in the race. Just the driving of the race car has been really impressive.
Number 10 is still there. You're clear.
Johnson's closing that gap again. But you can obviously see why. I mean, just look at the lap traffic right around Terry Labonte right now. A lot of faster cars, too. Kevin Harvick, Sterling Marlin's up here. Ward Burton still in the lead lap. Bill Elliott. Ooh, boy. I don't know how he kept it off Sterling Marlin there. Marlin, I think, had to slow down a little bit more than wanted to because he was in line behind Kevin LePage, who was on the outside. Big run. 3 wide for the first time today. Into turns 3 and 4. Boy, Labonte barely cleared Ward Burton and Michael Waltrip. And those old tires are making this car drive terribly right now. Again, still the same tires from the start of the race. But you don't want to short pit at Bristol. You want to be the absolute last car to come to pit road. I mean, everybody's going to be trying to stretch this fuel run out as long as they can. Which also makes it questionable why nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, even Terry Labonte didn't pit under the first caution, but I think it was mainly you saw the top 5 or 10 stay out, and everybody else decided to stay out because they're like, well, I don't want to lose a track position. Let's just not start at the rear of the field and just keep things the way they're going. By the way, it's also looking like about a 2 to 3 stop race today. If this does seem to be the strategy where guys are just going to stay out as long as they can. Ooh, there's a little contact with Stanton Barrett. I've kind of counted up to this point. Labonte's only made contact with either the wall, which has only been twice, or another driver 9 times today. In 147 laps at Bristol, that's actually really impressive, and that's counting the Jeff Green incident. So luckily, he was able to keep it off the inside wall after spinning.
The 12 car
The charge for Ryan Newman right now as he has climbed, I believe, into the top 10 after starting all the way at the back today. Qualified 42nd. Known for being the Rocket Man in qualifying. Not today. Oh, wow, there's a little contact between the Labonte brothers. Terry got really tight on the bottom of the track and just door slammed his brother. Accidentally, of course. Again, 9 times out of 10, when we make contact with anybody in any of these games, these full races, it is not on purpose. I can guarantee it. The only time we make purposeful contact is if we intentionally spin somebody, really. That's the only time. Everything else, the car just kind of jumps around at random occasions, especially at this game. And one little bit of contact just makes it look so much worse than what it actually was supposed to be. Dale Jarrett keeps chopping off Labonte's nose on corner entry here as he's trying to stay on the lead lap. At least until pit stops start. Labonte finally drives underneath him off of turn 4. Labonte pitches it into the corner and slides right around him. I'd have to, yeah, Tony Stewart's running 6th right now. Dale Jr. is just in front of Labonte running 5th. So Terry Labonte has put a lot of drivers a lap down over this green flag run. Oh, minor contact there with Jeremy Mayfield. About a 10-second lead all of a sudden for Terry Labonte. Oh, a bump and run to the back of the 8. Jr. going to go lap down in 5th. Pretty impressive for Labonte, leading still less than 60 laps up to this point. I think that's just the sign of him having a good long-run car and absolutely 0 drivers pitted under that. Back together, and now Labonte's got an 11.5-second lead over his teammates Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon. Kurt Busch right in front of him as well, about to go lap down that Rubbermaid car. Labonte barely keeps it off of him, using the lap cars of Robbie Gordon and Hermie Sadler as a pick. So drivers coming to pit road now. This is going to be interesting. Green flag stops are starting. The 3rd place driver, Jeff Gordon, just came to pit road. Labonte slides around Jamie McMurray. Boy, he really threw it off into turns 1 and 2 and clears them. Junior just coming out of the pits. As soon as he went a lap down, he pit. So Labonte has lapped the field as we speak, but it's because of green flag pit stops. Junior just blows right around Labonte with those 150 lap pressure tires. Still got about 0.8 of a gallon of fuel left, so Labonte can still go a couple laps at least. Robbie Gordon just coming back onto the racetrack. Labonte was just able to clear him there. Contact with the back of the 57 of LePage. You can tell LePage hasn't pit yet. Lap car in the way, Tony Stewart, and that allows Labonte and LePage to make contact on the outside in 1 and 2. That was a dangerous situation. Tony Stewart about I mean, he basically did pinch Terry Labonte off. That Terry had to get out of the gas, and LePage kind of ran right into his right rear. Still 0.4 of a gallon of fuel left for Labonte. He can stay out another lap or two, and we'll bring it to pit road. He has to make sure he doesn't spin bringing it to pit road. He did practice pit stops twice, and both times he actually entered in pretty okay. Didn't really slide the tires too much. So Labonte will pit at lap 169, it looks like. His pit stop and his pit box is going to have to be on the front straightaway pit road. And Labonte is coming to pit road. So Labonte onto pit road. No adjustments. There will be damage repaired. Doesn't have much of it. First pit stop of the race today for Labonte and the rest of the field, as we still are only at one caution here today at Bristol at lap 170. Problems on the left front tire changer as well. Or the front tire changer on the left front. 18-plus second pit stop for Labonte and his crew. And caution's out for the second time today. Labonte trapped on pit road. Wow, huge crash in turns, looks like 1 and 2. Not sure how that started. Johnny Benson into the wall hard. Jeff Burton might have tagged him from behind. And the caution is out here for the second time today. Right in the middle of green flag stop. So what does this do? Is Labonte still the leader? And how many cars are on the lead lap? That might have just trapped a lot of guys a lap down. We're going to have to wait and see when we go green. So hard crash for Johnny Benson to bring out our second caution of the day. The green flag is back in the air. Contact with Ryan Newman and Terry Labonte there on the restart. A couple lap cars, Robbie Gordon and Ryan Newman jump out ahead of Terry Labonte. Looks like we have quite a few drivers at least on the lead lap right now. Lap 174 as we run. Labonte still one of those drivers on the lead lap and still holds on to the lead. Luckily, it looked like he was the last lead lap car to stay out of the pits, so that actually worked out perfectly for him. So again, it looked like off of turn 2, Benson might have either pulled up in front of Jeff Burton or Burton might have just flat out turned him. I'm not entirely sure. Benson backs it into the wall. His day is done. So 2 cautions in the first half of today's race at Bristol. Now these guys can go right about lap 300 before the next pit stop, it looks like. Should be a 2-stop race to the finish from here is what we're likely looking at. Boy, it feels nice to have fresh tires after a 169-lap tire stint to start the race. Kenseth got trapped a lap down. That's unfortunate for him. He was in the top 5. Johnson's shown in second right now. Dale Jarrett lined up second on the restart. I think everybody's hit pit road now, if I'm not mistaken. Boy, Kenseth and Waltrip want their laps back pretty quickly here on Labonte. In case we maybe get another caution. Michael Turner, welcome to the stream. The bump and run, definitely a common move on short tracks, especially at Bristol at this day and age where you had multiple grooves. You don't have to use the bump and run. I mean, we've shown here today we passed a lot of cars cleanly. I think we've only used it like twice, and it was unintentional both times. Accidentally got in the back of Dale Jr. when we were trying to work our way through the field, as well as Jimmy Johnson. We were battling at the time for the lead. Speaking of Johnson, he's going to get to the inside of Waltrip and Kenseth in 3 and 4, passing them both. And he is right in line behind the race leader, Terry Labonte, and looking for the lead back. Terry trying not to let him go. Can alternate to the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Johnson continues to try and look for the lead. Johnson maybe trying to make a move on the outside. Jeff Gordon now is in the picture again, right behind the 48. Now looks to his inside. Gordon and Johnson are side by side for second. Caution! Another crash on the front straightaway. Oh no, they're stacking up big time as they race back to the caution flag. Big crash on the front stretch. Cars are checking up majorly. Labonte leads back to the line. Third caution of the day, a big accident. Wow, Jeff Green goes right around. Casey Mears, Hermie Sadler, Kenny Wallace, Jeremy Mayfield, Mike Skinner, Kyle Petty all pile in. About 5 or 6 cars piled into the accident after Green loses control off of turn 4. I was going to say they were stacked up at the line. Green had heavy damage to his race car. Caution's out for the third time today. Another spin. And another pretty heavy accident. Green flag back in the air again. Oh, contact! Oh, man! Labonte got hooked on the right front of Michael Waltrip's race car. Labonte holds on to the lead and holds on to his race car right in front of Waltrip. Slide going off into 1 and 2. He's continuing to try and hang on to that car and hang on to the lead hopefully as well. Sterling Marlin may be trying to look to the outside for the lead. We'll have to wait and see if we get any debris cautions. There was some pretty heavy damage on a couple of cars, especially, again, Jeff Green. I don't believe anybody pitted under that last caution. So 3 cautions prior to the lap 200 mark already tonight here at Bristol. Or sorry, today at Bristol. Dale Jarrett back up to second. What a charge for Ryan Newman again. Started 42nd. Not only he's on the lead lap after a fast green flag stop right before the second caution of the race, but he's up into the top 5 and running in 5th right now, and he's not too far off the lead. Bonnie's just trying to hang on for dear life right now in front of Dale Jarrett as they are racing hard just prior to the 200 lap mark today. Oh, contact with Jarrett. Labonte washed up the track in 1 and 2. Jarrett just got to the right rear of Labonte. They both save it, both keep it off the wall as they battle hard for the lead. Still, 200 laps in the books. Gordon again trying to get to the inside and possibly get around Dale Jarrett for second. I think Labonte's definitely holding these guys up right now. He is just not fast in the early going of a run. Again, it took him over 100 laps to get to the lead in the first place today. That is part of the reason why. Top 5 runs like this. You got Terry Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett, the top 3. 4th and 5th are Jimmy Johnson. Let's take a look at 5th here. Again at the line this time. I didn't see it. Ryan Newman rounds out the top 5. Newman's about 2 seconds off the lead. The top 4, though, all within a second of each other. Really tight racing in the top 4. And Johnson has gotten around Dale Jarrett now. So the top 3, once again, all Hendrick Motorsports. The first half of the Darlington race, we saw Jeff Gordon and Terry Labonte lead the laps and dominate 1-2 for most of the start of that race. And here today in the first half at Bristol, it is 3 Hendrick cars at the front of the field as you throw Jimmy Johnson in the mix. Leaders haven't yet hit lap traffic over the course of this run. Again, not yet. They will here in a couple laps. Wow, that was a big slide into 1 and 2. Drifting about halfway through the corner was Labonte. Meanwhile, Johnson is able to jump past Jeff Gordon for second. Johnson trying to cross over on Terry Labonte as Labonte holds on to the race lead. Trying to log in as many laps led as he can, knowing that Johnson and Gordon have both led a lot already too today. Labonte, despite taking over 100 laps to lead, he has led about 80 to 90 laps since up to this point. Left a lot of bottom open there, but Johnson just couldn't quite sneak to the inside. And Labonte slightly jumps up the racetrack. Surprised there was no debris cautions after that last accident too, knowing there was about 6 or 7 cars that kind of piled into it. After Jeff Green spun off of turn number 4. Dale Jarrett is now starting to lose sight of the Hendrick Chevrolets at the front of Labonte, Johnson, and Gordon. And again, we are almost halfway home, less than 30 laps from the halfway mark here today in the Food City 500 at Bristol. 6th race of the season. Still 30 to go after this point, so although there has been 4 DNFs in the first 5 races for Terry Labonte, he's still having a lot of races left this season. Good runs like this can definitely start to catapult him towards the top half of the points again, and hopefully by the time we get into the second half of the year, he's at least in the top 10 with a shot. It's kind of the goal at this point. David Green trying to pinch off Labonte.
You're clear.
That's very well possible. Jeff Green had a lot of damage. I wouldn't be surprised if he was out of the race. Because, again, I don't believe anybody came to pit road. Oh, Labonte barely keeps it off the wall on corner entry to 1 and 2. Gordon, meanwhile, to the inside of Johnson for second. Johnson trying to shut the door. He can't quite do it. Gordon still underneath him. David Green has just been holding up Labonte tremendously right now. Bonnie trying to pass him clean. Finally gets to the inside. It passes David Green cleanly.
Clear on both sides. Number 16 is blowing a block on you. On your line. He's still there. Still there. Careful. Clear on both sides. I'd like to see him stay back there.
Now that the lap traffic has been getting a little bit heavier, not only Gordon was able to complete the pass on Johnson for second, but he is slowly sliding back again. Labonte out to about a 1 second lead over Jeff Gordon. That's really what helped Labonte over the last run, was not only the long run speed, but the ability to take his time but still get around
One outside.
the lap traffic at a fairly efficient rate.
He's not too happy with it. Still there. Make it easy.
Newman closing that gap on Jared. He's now less than a second behind him finally for fourth.
40 time call. Come on. Number 45 is still there.
Gotta admit, I did not think of all racetracks that could have been the first win of the year, that the Food City 500 at Bristol would have been the one for Terry Labonte, but so far so good. Again, we're just about to approach the halfway mark, so still quite a ways to go in this race, but you gotta figure too, we're about an hour and 15 minutes in. We've only had 3 cautions, so that's gonna help the race pace a little bit. Not having that many yellows,
Still there. Careful.
especially by Bristol standards.
You're clear.
Just have to see if this continues.
Flat side.
It's not a very difficult track to race on. It's definitely harder to pass if you get a little out of shape.
Okay, we're clear.
We've seen so many accidents. Well, not so many, but that's why we've seen the 3 accidents we have seen today.
Far enough. Still beside you. Clear. Number 02 is up high. Hold your line. He's still there. You have 2 cars. All over your back bumper.
Bristol's usually a wreck fest. Well, on NASCAR Heat 5, it was definitely a wreck fest. Though on Heat 5 a couple weeks ago when we ran at Bristol, it wasn't a wreck fest until about the last 200 laps of the race, really the third stage. We only had 2 cautions in the entire first 2 stages, which would have been the first 250 laps. So, I mean, it was a fairly clean start. And what, we finished with like 12 by the end of it? Like 10 cautions alone just within the last like 250 laps. Hopefully that doesn't happen here today. By the way, Joshua Rumsey, welcome to the stream.
Flat side. Still there.
Still been a fun race at arguably one of the funnest racetracks on the circuit. Looks like Brett Bodine just brushed the wall off of turn 2 right in front of Labonte as well. Still 2.5-second lead. Again, it is a pretty tight race throughout. I think if Labonte can at least keep the track position at the front of the field, he'll be all right, should be able to win. He starts to go back into traffic again. It took him over 100 laps to get to the front of the field after qualifying 12. So if he finds himself maybe with a couple cautions and different strategies, back in traffic again on equal tires, it could take him a while to get to the lead. Yeah, last week of the NFL season, my Packers are going to be going for home field advantage in the NFC today.
The 23 car, come back.
They should beat the Bears. They should. But the Bears have been playing good football lately, so I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. But I trust the fact that they should be able to seal the deal with a win. And if they do lose, then they would need Seattle and New Orleans to lose also if they were going to receive home field advantage. Seattle plays San Francisco, but they've been kind of struggling lately. And then New Orleans, I can't remember who they're playing. Cross flags in the air, 250 laps down, 250 to go. We have trouble off of turn 2 with another car that has blown an engine. I believe it's Casey Mears in the 41, right in front of the race leader again. He drops to the bottom of the track as he nurses the car to pit road. So just past halfway, another engine failure on green flag conditions. We do stay green after the fact. Labonte still leads. So Christian Fittipaldi blowing engine a lot closer in front of Labonte earlier in the race.
The 30 car is still there. Number 30 is looking to pass. All clear base.
Yeah, Red Zone was how I was able to watch the Packers games that weren't, or I should say that were out of market this year. Obviously, I couldn't watch the whole game, but I was still watching like all the scoring plays as they happen, at least. But really, that was only 2 games, I believe, that I had to actually watch like that this season. I think it was against the Texans. It was out of market for us, and then it was also out of market when they played the Vikings. One of the times they played Minnesota this year. I believe it was their home game against them. So outside of that, though, I've seen every game from start to finish. Well, I have seen every game from start to finish. I was lucky enough. So the way the NASCAR playoffs started with all those night races run on a Saturday, I was able to watch the Packers games up until Talladega. But then they had a bye week. The Packers had a bye when I went to Talladega, so I didn't miss a game there. And then I think they played a night game the following week, like on a Monday or something. Or no, that's what it was. So they played Monday night the week I was at Talladega. I remember now because I watched the game at the hotel the following night because I didn't come home till Tuesday. So on Monday night I was watching the game in my hotel room. And then they were on a bye the following week when they would have been at the Roval. It like worked out perfectly that they were either playing a night game, so I like never missed a Packers game even though their race was on. Or like they would play at 1 o'clock and the race would start. Like I think Texas, the day of the Texas race would have been the first game I would have missed because I was watching the race because I'm not going to miss the Cup race. And they got about 50 laps into the Cup race and they were on a rain delay, so I was just watching the Packers game during the rain delay. And then sure enough, they ended up just not, going back to race until Wednesday. And then the last couple games of the year, they were playing at a different time from when the race was. So, I mean, it like worked. The way the Packers' schedule worked out this year was perfect with the way NASCAR shook up. Again, the only game I would have missed because of a race would have been Texas, but if it wasn't for the rain, Or I should say, if it was because of the rain, I was able to actually watch the Packers game. Andrew Hollenbach, welcome to the stream. You like the Saints? Yeah, well, if you like the Saints, then you're probably hoping for the Packers to lose today. That fight for home field, it means a lot more this year because they only have that one team that gets a bye week in each conference too, so that just means home field means even more this year than what it ever did before. Just imagine, man, I can't wait. I hope they win today. I hope Green Bay wins and they're 2 wins away from the Super Bowl. That'd be awesome. And they get to play at home. Which home field advantage doesn't really mean much with limited to no crowd, but because Green Bay is so cold in January, I mean, they just played in the snow last week against Tennessee, so I mean, that alone is going to help them so much against teams that either play in a dome or play down south. Another engine failure on the racetrack as we stay green. Kyle Petty was down on the bottom of the track, up in smoke.
Number 21 is trying a lot. Off their base. The 21 car is attempting a box. Number 01 is outside. The 01 car.
One of these days, I'm going to be able to go to a race, and then, like, the Packers are going to be playing, like, a road game in the area city, and it'll be, like, a Monday night game or something. I'm going to be able to see, like, a Packers game and a NASCAR race, like, live in a 2-day stretch. Like, that would be awesome. If that ever happens, like, if I see that there's going to be a race the same weekend the Packers are playing on the road on like a Monday night at an area city, I am definitely going to try to go to that. Obviously, it'd have to be early in the NFL season, so I'm not going to have much time to decide, by the time like the NFL schedule comes out, what days they're actually playing for the year, compared to where the race is at. Like maybe they'll play the Chiefs on the road one year, and like the Kansas race will be the football game the next day, like something like that. Or even the same day, like if the race is early enough. It's a little harder now with the later start times, but if they ever like go back to starting races at 1, 2 o'clock again, maybe they could play at like 8 on a Sunday night and I could catch both on the same day. That'd be awesome. Ricky Rudd's definitely been blocking Terry Labonte. Terry's trying to take it easy on him right now. A 3-second lead for Labonte over Gordon. Tony Stewart's jumped up to 4th pretty much out of nowhere. Qualified second, dropped back at the start. He's starting to work his way back up little by little. Mark Martin just came right down into Labonte in the center of the corner there. Minimal contact. Again, Labonte's kept his car fairly clean today. Yeah, or maybe something like that, like Atlanta. Well, I've already been to Atlanta, so I guess that would work. What happened when I went to Atlanta Motor Speedway in 2019, I saw the race, and Monday Night Raw was actually in Atlanta the next night, so we stayed an extra day. So me and a buddy of mine that's actually a wrestling fan too, we went to the show in Atlanta the following night. It was the only Monday Night Raw I've seen in person. I've seen a bunch of SmackDown shows. They go through Toledo a lot, like once or twice a year. So I've seen some of those over there, and I've actually seen a couple in Detroit too, but it was the first Monday Night Raw I saw, so that was pretty cool. To be able to see an event that weekend. on top of the race. And actually, the Pistons played the Hawks the night before, but we were traveling down that day. It was like the Saturday night before the race, but we couldn't. I knew we weren't going to be able to get there in time because I had to work the Friday before, so we weren't going to leave until Saturday. And it takes 10 hours to get down there, and I think we got down there at like 6, and the game started at like 6 or 7, so it would have been really close to get there, so that's why we didn't bother going to that. But otherwise, we would have went to that too. Like, that almost worked perfectly, that I could have saw my Detroit Pistons play on the road at Atlanta, watch the NASCAR race the Sunday afternoon after, and then watch the Monday Night Raw the following night because they had a lot going on in Atlanta that weekend. That would have been pretty cool, but unfortunately the cards only aligned right to obviously see the race, and then the Monday Night Raw, I couldn't catch the Pistons game too. I think we just ended up watching on the hotel that night. And the only reason we were able to get it on the hotel is because obviously we were in Atlanta, so they had Atlanta's Fox Sports Network, so we were able to watch the game there. I think I've seen like 4 or 5. No, I've seen more than that. I've seen probably 5 or 6 Pistons games. A few of them in the newer Little Caesars Arena. I think I only saw one back in the Palace. And that was the last year they played there. That was my first NBA game, too. I swear, every time I go, they're usually really close games. Except for the playoff game I went to a couple of years ago against the Bucks. They got steamrolled by Giannis, but it was still fun, though, because it was a close first half. That crowd was so electric. Like, I've been to regular season games before that, and going to that playoff game, it was so much more high energy with the crowd and everything. It had, like, a college atmosphere. Highly recommend going to a playoff game. Really in any sport if you get the opportunity and you're a fan of it. So the energy is through the roof. Darlington's fun, and you get 2 opportunities next year because they run. I mean, the Southern 500 would probably be the better of the 2 races to go to, with it being like the throwback race. But even, I mean, any race at Darlington would be cool. It's definitely a good. It was a fun trip. We played a lot of golf. I went down with my dad last year, so we played a lot of golf like through the states when we were traveling down there. So we made it like a golfing trip, and then the day of the race, we obviously went to the race. And it was a pretty. Not only it was a good race. Interesting moment between Truex and Elliott that got the crowd on their feet, but we're stunned. Then Austin Dillon and Kevin Harvick fighting for the finish too. But it was a pretty fun race throughout anyway. And we got to see the truck race early in the day too, and my man Greg Biffle came back for a one-off there, so that was pretty cool too. I only saw the last 10 laps of it, but I still got to see Biffle race one last time. Saw Trevor Lawrence in a high school state. That's pretty cool. I think the most famous person I have seen. Well, so there's 2 of them. One, I went to the Ohio State-Michigan game a couple years ago, and we were like row 4 in the corner of the end zone, so we were basically right on the field. And Aaron Judge was down there supporting Michigan. He had a Michigan hat, and I think like a coat or a sweatshirt on. He was like a couple feet in front, but he was signing autographs down there. I couldn't get one though. Nor did I really have anything for him to sign. Anyway, but so that was unfortunate there. But then I went to a pro wrestling show. I think it was 2 years ago now already. I went to a pro wrestling show in Toledo, just a local show. A buddy of mine asked if I wanted to go. He was like, "Hey, Mick Foley might be there," you know. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty cool." We actually got to see him as he walked in, and we got some. Got a signature and a picture with him, so that was pretty cool. He's the most person I've actually met and talked to in person. He's a pretty cool dude, really down to earth. I've already mentioned a couple times on the channel I almost saw Austin Dillon on a golf course the weekend of the Kentucky race, but I just missed him and Richard Childress. But Yeah, outside of Mick Foley, I've never actually like talked to a famous person in person before, except for that moment for any of you WWE fans or wrestling fans out there that know who he is. Meanwhile, 300 laps complete at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Food City 500. Labonte's trying to... Oh, we got another caution. Oh, contact with Marlin. And he takes a swing right back at Labonte, and luckily he saves it as they cross the start-finish line and race back to the caution flag. So Ricky Craven goes for a single-car spin in turns 1 and 2. Fourth caution of the race today. Mark Martin was behind him, but he never hit Craven at all. And Labonte's going to hit pit road as we're just over 300 laps in. See if anybody else comes down behind him. It doesn't look like it. Marlon Labonte got together there after the caution came out, and Marlon tried to take a swing at Labonte. Terry just kind of got tight and washed up right into him. So just after lap 300, our fourth caution of the race. You've met Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker. That's pretty cool. A couple college football legends right there. Bo Jackson was just a legend of himself, multi-sport athlete, the best athlete to probably ever walk this face of the earth.
We're starting in the back, so be careful.
So only 8 cars on the lead lap. Labonte was the only lead lap driver to pit there. That is going to be costly because these guys are going to have older tires in front of him as the green flag is back in the air at lap 305. So Labonte on fresher tires. Had a little bit of damage with Marlin too that he was able to repair right there. Another cause for him to come to pit road, and he just accidentally drove into Jeff Burton. 3 wide. Burton a little contact to his outside with Dale Jarrett. And Labonte quickly back into the top 5.
You're clear. The 12 car, come on.
Again, pit window's 160 to 170 laps, and we're getting really close to that point and making it on one more stop. That might have been why a lot of guys stayed out, but that was still probably a big mistake for that to happen.
Leader only has about a second on you. You're clear.
Labonte's just hustling through the field. Back up to second, in line behind Jeff Gordon. Gordon to the inside of Rusty Wallace, trying to put him a lap down again. Labonte to the inside of Gordon. Side by side for the lead into turn 3. The advantage with the fresh tires and running the bottom line will propel Terry Labonte to the lead here at Bristol. Only took him 5 laps off the restart, but Labonte back out in front and trying to get around Sterling Marlin now at the front of the field. Labonte to the inside of Marlin. Marlin might try to take a shot at him here, and he does. But Labonte still gets around him. And now trying to drive away with those fresh tires. And the clean air. Felt like he was about to... He's a big dude. Herschel, even to this day, in his 50s, I think, if not older, he is still a big dude. Still pushing weights around. Heavy weights. Well, by big, I mean like he's a strong guy. He's not that tall, I don't think, but... yeah, that's pretty cool, though. Going to alternate through the different camera angles one final time in today's race with less than 200 laps to go at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Food City 500. Again, everybody is just one pit stop away from the finish of today's race. 4-second lead for Labonte on fresher tires right now, trying to pull away from the field. Tim Irvin, welcome to the stream. Oh boy. Yeah, exactly, Michael. Again, it really mind boggles me why they didn't pit under that last caution for that reason. I mean, we saw Ricky Craven spin all by himself. Just tells you how on edge everybody is on older tires. And it's going to work out for Terry Labonte if we continue to go green here. That pit window to being able to make it on one more stop is going to be really close from here. So Labonte's just blowing by these guys on old tires. Trying to work on Stanton Barrett right now. And knowing Labonte can go longer than anybody else on fuel and tires also is going to be huge. He might just pit with the rest of them, but he's going to have a pretty large advantage. And he's going to wait quite a ways after they pit before he pits. Contact with Steve Park there. Oh, a little contact with Park. And I believe Ashton Lewis now as well. Allowing Labonte to go on by on the inside. So some of the leaders are coming to pit road. That might be a little too early. I would be shocked if they can make it that far on fuel. I mean, we saw a caution in the middle of green flag stops. The only other time we had green flag pit stops today. So definitely going to have to be careful of oncoming traffic coming in and out of these multiple pit lanes here at Bristol. Labonte to the inside of Rudd. Into turn 1. And get around him cleanly off of turn 2. Yep, got the Looney Tunes paint scheme once again here today. At least the Roadrunner version of the Looney Tunes paint schemes. And we'll stick with the far chase cam now for the rest of the race. We've ran this paint scheme for a couple races in a row, but we failed to get to the end of a race with it. So once we do that, I'll change the paint scheme. Probably run the Mini Wheats paint scheme next. We haven't used that one yet this year. That's actually a pretty cool looking orange and black car too. Ever run out of gas in a Bristol race? I have not. That's tough to do. I mean, you have to have some majorly long green flag runs to go that far. Again, I mean, we've seen green flag stops, but the longest green flag run so far was that opening 70-lap green flag run at the beginning of the race. We've had 4 cautions today, but they've pretty evenly been spread out. Not like one caution has led to another. So Labonte's going to have the field lapped when they all pit. Labonte's going to try to make sure that he can make it quite a ways before he pits. He might pit with about 125 to go is likely what we're looking at. Not necessarily splitting the run in half, but maybe short pitting. Because remember, pitting at that mark helped Biffle win in Season 1. So maybe that's a strategy for Labonte here for the first Bristol race in Season 2. And, well, never mind. We got another caution on the racetrack in the middle of green flag stops. Our 5th caution of the day as they race back to the line again. And there's the phantom caution for Ward Burton coming off of pit road. Well, we talked about it at the beginning of the day that we have, or I should say I've seen these phantom cautions before, both on Windbow's channel as well as on my personal career mode. We have not seen it on the season mode yet. So a caution comes out right at the edge of the pit window. Labonte's going to pit. It's going to bring everybody else to pit road who hasn't pit yet. Pit stops once again here today at Bristol. It's probably the shortest green flag run we've had today, right around 20 to 30 laps. Any little damage Labonte might have on his race car will be repaired right now as well.
We're deep in the field. Be careful. It's not working your
So
way up.
Labonte's going to hang on to the lead. Now everybody that got trapped at least 1 or 2 laps down there because they pitted earlier also hit pit road. Green flag back in the air. Look at that. Terry Labonte's got a 2-lap lead on the field after that caution. And that was even after him hitting pit road. So everybody on the lead lap pitted before Labonte. Labonte was the last driver on the lead lap to stay out. The caution waved, and Labonte's got a 2-lap lead on the field now. And as he crosses the stripe that last time, he has now clinched the most laps led as well. And this could secure Labonte and his first win of the season, as long as he pretty much just makes it to the end of the race now. So that might have made for an anticlimactic finish, but Labonte, with all the poor luck he has had this season, boy, did he need this to try and get that first win of the year. The cards have been played perfectly with the lining of the 5 cautions we've had today, especially that last one that we've had. Now, we still could get more. Again, longest green flag run's only 70 laps, and we still have just over 160 to go. Now, the only other thing, too, is can these guys make it on field at the end of the race, especially for Terry Labonte. He went 169 laps earlier. He has to make it about 166 this time. Now, granted, we also had caution laps that were ran during that stint where he went 169 laps on fuel. And no caution laps during 166 laps here if we don't get one. If there is going to be a caution, it'll probably come to pit road just to make sure, especially with a 2-lap lead. I guess he's got a 1-lap lead right now because Labonte and Stewart got around him on the restart. So he's got a 1-lap lead on the field. Elijah Ladote, welcome to the stream. Just woke up. 1:45 in the afternoon. It's a little explainable if you live on the West Coast. But even then, man, 10:45 in the morning, I can't sleep in that late. That's way too late. I feel so unaccomplished if I wake up anywhere close to that late. So again, if you're just tuning in, we were in the middle of green flag pit stops, right at the edge of the pit window with about a little less than 170 laps to go. Our 5th caution of the race came out for Ward Burton simply just exiting pit road. A phantom caution, and Labonte was the only car in the lead lap and was the last car in the lead lap to still hit the pits. And that just trapped everybody 2 laps down behind Labonte, except for Tony Stewart and Bobby Labonte, who are 1 lap down now, but that's because they got around Terry on the restart. But Terry being on the lead lap, and the lap cars obviously restarting to the bottom of the lead lap cars. But outside of that, boy, this race has turned for a very fortunate luck. It's about time we had luck on our side like that. We needed that the way the last 4 races went. Leading 3 of those races with less than 100 to go and just either getting taken out by a lap car in one of those cases with less than 40 to go, or lightly hitting the wall at Darlington enough to blow the engine with less than 40 to go there. I mean, it has just been some absolute terrible luck this season, but luck is on Labonte's side here today. He was able to save his car after that lap 70 accident. He was able to avoid a big accident off of turn 4 right around lap 200 today as well. And you can just see right there, I mean, he's kept the car fairly clean today. You live on the West Coast? Okay, so that makes it a little... I was only wondering that because it would have been about 10:30, 10:45 there. So the Labonte brothers were looking good at Darlington. Looked like they could have maybe finished 1-2 if Terry didn't DNF with 37 to go. while they were battling for the lead. Now they're running 1-2 again here today. You never know. Could be big. Still being really early in the season, too. That's going to help Labonte in the points quite a bit. It's going to be a big jump. He was 38th coming into the day after 4 straight DNFs and only 1 top 10. 5 races into the season. Scored a lot of bonus points this year. He's led the most laps in 3 of the first 5 races. Okay, pay attention here. Pay attention, Keegan. We'll hit off the wall there off turn 2. No heavy damage on Labonte's car at least, so that's good. Fairly light. If it does get heavy, with a 2-second lead, I might honestly consider coming to pit road just to make sure we make it to the end of the race. I think would be a smart decision. We would obviously give up most of that lead, but we might actually still be in the lead. If not, we'll be on fresh tires and we'll be maybe at the most a half a lap back with like 100 to go and run them right back down again. It's not a lot of pressure on Terry Labonte right now, so there's a couple options if he does end up getting heavy damage for whatever reason here today that maybe he can have something happen for his favor. Got to play smart, that's for sure. Not bad. Yeah, 38th in the standings. But again, it doesn't matter only 5 races into the season. It obviously hurts you more by the end of the year if you put yourself in a big hole like we have early in the season. But we still had 30 races to go after this race is done. And if we can pull off a win, we're just going to basically cut that chunk in half today, I'd have to imagine. Just simply with a win and a max points day because we've already clinched the most laps led. Yeah, knowing the luck we've had in damage, trust me, I think it's a wise decision. We're going to try to keep it clean, and we've kept it clean throughout, but we still have just under 140 to go at Bristol, so anything can happen here still. Stay focused indeed. How great would it be to get Terry Labonte his first win of the year? Again, you guys in the chat at the Budweiser Shootout voted for me to run as Terry Labonte for this final season of NASCAR Thunder 04. So I went with him for the season, and it's been a rough start, but hopefully we can get him a championship by season end. I really want to win this championship so bad, though. After not winning it in season 1 and really not being in contention in the last couple of races, we were out of contention with 4 races to go to win the championship, mathematically. So that tells you how rough of a season it was in season 1. Running right about, 9th in points when we were eliminated too. So, I mean, if we would have actually ran the last 4 races, we probably would have had a top 10 points run. We still could have very easily, if we would have won like 2 of the last 4 races and at least ran consistent in the other 2 and got to the end, we could have very easily still gotten the top 5 points finish, but we would have not won the championship. So, we were able to win the Rookie of the Year with Biffle at least. So, we won something. We also won 14 races. Slower start to this season, but again, it's just the start. And not winning Season 1 championship, we need to make sure we win a championship. I don't want to, not play this game on the channel again as far as, the seasons go and not win a championship. So, we need to try to go out with a bang here. I saw that after the fact, Andrew. Not bad for 38th in the standings. No, I know. I figured you were talking about the idea. I just kind of wanted to make the joke of not bad 38th in the standings. Ray says David Reagan at some point. If I had to pick one season to run as David Reagan, I'd actually like to run as him in the Truck Series and chase for the Cup 05 because I love that Scott's paint scheme. I think 05. It might have been a little later. It might have been like 06 or 07. Whatever year it was. Oh, Bobby Labonte coming to pit road from second place with about 130 to go, a little less than that. Well, that's a tough break. He didn't have any smoke rolling out of the car. I don't think he hit pit road yet. So Labonte's got the field 2 laps down again.
Got one on. Still there. Take it easy.
Labonte does have one rival somewhere on the racetrack in being
Hold your line.
Sterling Marlin. Look at that bump and run with the lap cars ahead of Labonte as Jack Sprague tried to move Kevin LePage out of the way.
It's looking right.
Little tag on his left rear, washed him up the track. Yeah, we've got some drivers hitting pit road right now.
Hold your line. It's still there.
Kind of out of nowhere.
Clear.
Yep. NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 would be the next retro game we do a playthrough with. I plan on trying to go in order all the way through the games, even into the Technics games too. I think it'd be pretty cool to do that over the long haul, and whatever new game comes out, obviously along the way too, we'll play that. Kind of do this as a side series, so we're having more of a variety with these full race live streams.
You two cars right behind you. So they're all around.
I'm just surprised Labonte never pitted under that last caution. We did have a handful of drivers come to pit road. Labonte wasn't the only driver. There was another lap car that came to pit road, but I don't think it was anybody that was in contention for anything. Oh, contact with Biffle.
Number 16.
Going into turn 3. Luckily, he's not mad enough to take a swing at Labonte yet. So Labonte's going to get around him as quick as he can now, and he does. Through turns 1 and 2. Good thing Biffle never took a swing. It wasn't quite at minus 60. It was close, but it wasn't quite there. Again, shout out to Ryan Newman today. Qualified 42nd at the rear of the field. And he's in 3rd right now. Solid one. I mentioned we would see Tempers Flare today. We haven't seen Tempers Flare really with Terry Labonte. Well, maybe a little bit there with Sterling Marlin, but very minor. We've seen a couple instances of contact in front of us, though. For instance, when Bobby Labonte on lap 5 ran right into Johnny Benson. Benson was at the forefront of another accident later in the race. Though that Labonte incident with Bobby Labonte, that is, wasn't an accident. They kept going green, but that was on lap 5. But then right around lap 200, as you see another bump and run, Stanton Barrett trying to get around Ashton Lewis. Squeezes right under him. All right, Tim, thanks for stopping by, man. Make everyone your rival. Oh, no, that we would never make it to the... We have a hard enough time making it to the end of the races with like 2 or 3 rivals at a time. I couldn't imagine just having everyone as your rival trying to wreck you every lap of the race. We'd be lucky just to finish one race. Also, a quick update as far as the channel goes. I got another new series that I'm starting. And I should be about done editing with one of the videos. It'll be like a weekly series, so it'll be like a once a week thing. So be on the lookout for that tonight as well. Something new I'm bringing to the channel here in 2021. Wow, Labonte got tight in 3 and 4 and hooked the left rear of Stanton Barrett, one of his allies. Worked with him well in the Daytona 500 earlier this season. We are nearing lap 400 here tonight at Bristol after 4 cautions. Maybe some things just don't change from Season 1 to Season 2. One of those things being a lot of DNF so far. Obviously, we want that to change. But maybe winning the Food City 500 on both seasons would be pretty cool, especially with this, again, being my favorite racetrack of all time in NASCAR. It would be interesting for you guys. It would be hell for me. I have a tickle on my nose. I want to itch it. We don't have long enough straightaways here. Okay, there we go. We're good. We're good. I was really hoping I wasn't going to accidentally wreck Elliott Sadler when I did that. It was bothering me for a couple laps. Sadler has been holding up Labonte for the last handful of laps as well. Elliott Sadler blocking Labonte again there as we're right about 100 to go. Again, that's where it seems like the AI always race the hardest. It is one long race, as the crew chief has just notified us. 100 laps to go this time by at Bristol for Terry Labonte. No rush to get around Sadler, just whenever he can, really. Finally gets to his inside into turn 1. Sadler made contact anyway a couple laps prior with Labonte trying to block him into the entrance of the corner. Labonte doesn't want to see a caution either. He would love for this to run green to the end. Unless somebody really ticks him off. I mean, that's the only way you're going to see a caution here today. Another one. As far as coming around Labonte, obviously we've seen our fair share of AI accidents today. 4 of them to be exact. Only 1 caution we were actually a part of. Luckily, we saved it. And then we made it through the other big accident with no damage there, so that was nice too. Diamond Jeff, welcome to the stream. Still no heavy damage on Labonte's car. Again, if he does end up getting heavy damage and we're under green flag conditions still, he's likely going to pit. He's got a 2-lap advantage. And again, the reason why he's got a 2-lap advantage is because a caution came out in the middle of green flag stops, and Labonte was the only car to not hit pit road that was on the lead lap and trapped everybody 2 laps down or more. That happened with about 160 to go, just over that many laps. So again, it's going to be close on fuel to the end of the race still as well. So Labonte's not going to risk running out if he has to, maybe even just to come down and put 4 fresh tires, or sorry, just put like a half a can of fuel in it. He will do that as well. Will also save time on pit road. Now David Green throws a block. He makes contact with Labonte slightly. Top 5 runs like this. Terry Labonte in the lead. Tony Stewart second. Ryan Newman in third. In fourth place it is Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kurt Busch rounds out the top 5. Good run for Kurt Busch, by the way. He started on the pole, led laps early, and has basically been in the top 5 all night. Tony Stewart He fell right about 10th place after qualifying second, but obviously, as you see on your leaderboard right there, that pops up every lap on the right side of the screen, Stewart is in second. Use pit strategy to win the race for sure. That's what it ends up coming down to. Oh my goodness, dude. Turning caution flags off on this game. That'd be terrible if there was a big accident. Because there would just be debris and cars everywhere. Because if a car DNFs, like, without a blown it, like if they crash out, they're on fire just sitting in the middle of the racetrack and they won't move. Because I've had that happen in practice a couple times. Once at Watkins Glen, there was another racetrack too. I can't remember. I don't know if it was a short track. I think it was like Richmond or something. There was an AI wreck when I was practicing, and they were just sitting in the middle of the track, so I had to like exit practice and then go back into it again. The one at Watkins Glen, I heard about it, and I was like, okay, where's it at? Where's it at? Because it's anywhere on the racetrack. And then like I got to turn 6 randomly, and there was just like 2 cars parked there. I was like, whoa! Almost ran right into them. Yeah, that's probably why I said David Reagan's popped up in the chat a couple times already today, so that's definitely why I accidentally had my brain scrambled there and said David Reagan instead of David Green. So again, Ricky Rudd not mad enough to take a swing at Labonte. The only driver that really is mad enough to take a swing at Labonte would be Sterling Marlin. 9 people watching right now. 7 people have hit the like button. Thanks for everybody tuning in here on an early Sunday afternoon. Next full race live stream on the channel, we'll go back to NASCAR Thunder 04 again tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We'll be running at the Texas Motor Speedway, 500-mile race there. And once we find out the winner of this race, it's looking like as of right now, it could very well be Terry Labonte. But we've seen some late accidents with him already this season. He's going to make sure that doesn't happen today. Maybe he can go for back-to-back wins. Texas is one of the easier tracks to drive on this game. It's just a long race with it being 500 miles, so that's where the attrition is going to come into play. And then we go to Talladega after that, so I mean, you can very well see 3 wins in a row for Labonte and get right back into the hunt early season for the championship. Ward Burton, I brought out that phantom caution earlier for simply exiting pit road. That was the 5th caution of the race. It was the last caution we had, and it was about 60 to 70 laps ago. Actually, it was about 90 laps ago already. Man, that time really flew by there. Got 76 to go currently. Well, there's Sterling Marlin up ahead. We know he already tried to take a swing at Terry Labonte. Terry's definitely going to have to be careful when he tries to pass him coming up. Labonte's going to try to take it 3 wide. It's one way to try and get around Sterling, but now they're not 3 wide anymore as Marlin takes a swing at Terry Labonte off of turn 2. Thought about doing it again into 3. More extracurricular contact after Labonte washed up into Bill Elliott now. So just under 75 to go, and another instance where lap car tries to take Labonte out while leading the race. How many times has that happened this year? And it about happened again right there. But luckily, Marlin's in the rear view. A couple lap cars in between him and Labonte now, so Labonte can drive away, and at least the right side of the race car is not heavily damaged up to this point as well, so that helps. keep it running on the racetrack.
The 16 car was trying to block it.
Here's the Biff. And the rival, but at least he's not mad enough to take a swing at Labonte like Sterling Marlin tried to do. 70 to go.
Number 16 is still there. Clear.
I'm telling you guys, it's never easy, not only with the full race live streams, but it is never easy with this game in particular. Just to make it to the end of the 500 laps where you have an instance like that between Marlin and Labonte. The only reason he's mad is because when the caution came out earlier for... which spin was it? I think it was when Ricky Craven spun. I think it was the fourth caution of the day when Craven spun. We were racing back to the caution flag, and I just, like, got loose and made a little bit, like, very minimal contact with Marlin in the center of the corner, and he got mad after that and tried to take me out coming back to the caution flag, and I saved it. Racing back to the start-finish line, and then we've seen him twice since, and both times he's tried to take a shot at us. We'll probably see him at least one more time by the end of the race. Starting to average off the top 5, being another lap down. Again, they're 2 laps behind Labonte as we speak. No more races today on the channel. For 2021, I plan on cutting back as far as like double headers. You'll probably see them more, I think, on NASCAR 05 when we get there. Because the truck and Xfinity rate, well, I guess it'd be the truck and the Busch Series races at that time would be a little shorter, so maybe you'd see like 2 truck races in a day. But that's like going to be the only time you're going to see double headers really anymore. That or we wreck in the first half of a race, which we've DNF'd twice already in the last 2 days, but they've both been really late in the race. So it's not like it affected, the watch time. We had over a couple hours of streaming in at least. So I didn't worry about running another one. But there will be another video on the channel today. Start of a new series I wanted to start. Weekly series on the channel. So again, be on the lookout for that. I don't expect it to be that long after the finish of the race when I upload it. I just have a couple... I basically got to watch it for myself first just to make sure there's no audio mistakes like there was the last time I tried to upload a video and I had to delete it and then re-upload it because the audio was out of sync. So as long as that's perfectly in place, that'll be uploaded within a couple hours after the stream today. But at some point today it will be up. So again, just be on the lookout for that. So subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. These full race live streams of the realistic broadcast, we do these every day, but trying to work on other content as you saw there at the end of 2020 and going into 2021 and beyond. Anthony Hanley, welcome to the stream. Old friend of the channel.
Number 42 is still there. 42 car.
Come to the right place here. Bristol Motor Speedway on the classic NASCAR Thunder 04. Terry Labonte trying to get his first win of the season right now. Has a multiple lap lead late because drivers got trapped a lap down after a caution came out in the middle of green flag stops with about 170 to go. And we have 55 to go this time by, so these 55 laps should fly by here at Bristol. Labonte's still just trying to survive the 500 laps for the moment. Hey, but welcome back. Better late than never.
Number 24 is up high.
Awesome.
They're on both sides.
Oh boy, a little contact. Bonnie got hooked on Robbie Gordon off of turn 2. Bonnie hustles around the lap traffic. If he does end up... Oh, man. Got tight in line behind Jeremy Mayfield there and made contact with him, too.
They're on both sides.
And Bonnie will pit if he has to.
Number 97.
To repair damage. if the time comes.
The 97 car is still there. Number 97 is going hot. Still there. Make it easy.
He's got to start taking his time again like he was for about the first 400 laps of the race, because the last 50 laps have been a little hectic. With the lap traffic especially.
The 8 car is still there. Be patient. You're clear.
Remember, these tires are getting older too. We have about 100 laps, if not just over 100 laps on these sets of tires right now. So that's another reason Lobani's kind of slightly losing control of his car from time to time. Racetrack's opened up a little bit more over the last couple laps, a little bit less lap traffic around him now.
Okay, we're clear. Got one out. You're clear.
Two times in the last 4 races that Lobani has DNF'd. It has come in the last 40 laps of a race. And one of them was because a lap car completely wiped him out while leading at Rockingham.
More tires won't help us. Be careful.
Luckily enough for him right now, he's kept the race car pretty clean all day long. He doesn't have heavy damage on the car. And after 450 plus laps at Bristol, that is absolutely impressive. Missed a big accident earlier. He also saved the car from nosing into the inside wall, which brought out the first yellow at lap 70. So he's definitely had his moments today where he could have had severe damage, if not DNF. But he's made it through both of those instances. And he's just trying to make it to the end of the race. A little contact with Ricky Rudd. Rudd's still not mad enough to take a swing at Lobani. So Lobani gets by him.
Number 22 is outside. The 22 car is gaining on you. Check your fuel gauge. Not much gas left.
So Lobani's getting low on fuel again. It was going to be close on fuel to the end of the race as well. So Terry might actually still have to pit before the end of the race, because we still have 42 to go at the line. And he's only got about a quarter of a tank of fuel left. Again, that caution came out right at the edge of the pit window on top of green flag stops as it was. A lot of drivers pitted before him, though, too. So if he can't make it, you'd have to assume a large portion of the field probably can't make it still either. We saw a couple guys pit already, like Bobby Labonte and I think Stanton Barrett. Already made green flag stops over this run.
Clear. Number 1 is putting a lock on you. The 1 car is trying a lock. Right side. Gotta keep him behind you.
Wow, Labonte got loose and he's trying to save the car into turn 3, and he does. Got really loose off of turn 2 again on older tires, and boy, oh boy, was that a massive save. He was loose basically all the way down the back straightaway and trying to catch it. Once it got into 3, finally caught it. Not only kept it off the wall, but he kept it off of all the lap cars as well.
He's not too happy with it. The 15 car is up high. Number 15 has got a run on you.
There's Tony Stewart, who's 2 laps behind Labonte, about to go 3 laps behind him. Again, it's averaged out on the interval screen that pops up every lap, so
Got one eye.
he's 2 laps down shown right now, but I think Labonte's going to pit here soon to make sure he doesn't wreck at the end of the race and put 4 fresh tires on it. He might be short on fuel by a little bit too, so might as well just put a little bit of fuel in the car also. He's got a couple lap advantage. It's not going to hurt. He's got 3 laps back to Stewart in second place now as he just put Tony Stewart another lap down. So he should be able to hold on to the lead, cycling off of pit road, and then he'll have fresh tires on top of it by over 100 laps.
Blindside. You're clear. Number 38, up left. Okay, we're clear.
Labonte's coming up on Marlin as well very soon. I think once Labonte catches Marlin, that's when he's going to pit, so he doesn't even have to worry about trying to pass him again. So that might be the last time they have to meet each other, unless obviously it depends on where Labonte cycles off of pit road as well. But 30 laps to go as he barely clears McMurray off of turn 4, slides into 1 and 2 again. What a race for Terry Labonte today. But it's not over yet.
The 40 car is going to make it hard for you to get around him. Number 29 is outside.
Minus 76 still on Marlin. In contact with Steve Park.
Got one eye. You haven't got much longer on that left front.
Labonte's not even going to try to pass Marlin right now.
He's still there.
Marlin's giving him the inside, and Labonte's not falling for it. He is staying alongside Bill Elliott, and he does not want to get up there with Marlin.
The 29 car is all over your back bumper. You're clear. Car pass.
Marlin's tried to wipe him out twice already.
Still there. The 9 car is still there. The 40 car isn't going to let you by easily.
Now Marlin's blocking Labonte, too, on top of it.
Okay.
If you're trying to brake check him, I don't know. That's possible, too. Especially on a short track. 25 laps to go here at Bristol. Labonte will be coming to pit road this time. He's not even going to risk anything. It'll be his second green flag stop of the day. Slides it. Got to make sure he doesn't speed onto pit road as well or spin out. And he makes it. 4 tires, full tank of fuel for Labonte. 24 to go at the line there. This is going to be the final stop of the day for him. And he is just playing it safe with a 3-lap lead. He's probably going to lose 2, maybe all 3 of them, but he should have the lead still coming off of pit road. As long as they have a clean stop, which front tire changer's already messed up once today on a green flag stop. 18-second flat, no mistakes. So Labonte's still in the lead. As he comes off the pit road, he's got 4 fresh tires, more damage repaired as well. Cleaning up the race car more. And as he gets up to speed, 23 to go. And he's still got a 1-lap lead over Tony Stewart. So Stewart closed in 2 laps on him there, but it could be averaged out too. But either way, Labonte's at least got a half a lap lead and has fresher tires. That was probably the smart thing to do right there.
Got one outside.
No, it's actually looking like more of a lap and a half lead than a half a lap. Labonte's just ripping around these guys. Now he's got like 100-lap fresher tires. And he's still got the field 1 lap down. Way to play it smart. That's why Labonte's a 2-time champ.
Got one eye.
Looking to make it 3 this season, even after an ugly start to the year.
20 laps to go. Clear.
Boy, I think a lot of pressure is going to be off of Labonte once he gets that first win of the season as well.
Care of those Goodyear Eagles.
And just puts an end to the bad luck.
Got one outside.
So now even if a caution comes out, there's still going to be a lap down. Because again, there's no free pass back in 2003. You have to race your way back around. Labonte made a little accidental contact with Jerry Nadeau off of turn 2, less than 20 to go. I think Labonte just kind of closed in on Nadeau a lot quicker than what he anticipated.
Don't worry about him. He's feeling nice today. Okay, we're clear. Got one eye.
Wow. Rusty Wallace really got tight into turns 1 and 2. Looked like he was going to try to pass Jeff Gordon, and then he just washed up the track right behind him.
Keep him behind you if you can. Clear.
That was a big slide. My goodness. Now he's pretty much just got to hope he doesn't catch Sterling Marlin again today. At least whatever damage he had before, which was very minimal as it was. Even that is repaired. Again, there you see a fairly clean race car for the most part. No major damage. Bump and run on Jeff Burton. Boy, that caution played at the perfect spot. Because if that caution never came out, Labonte would have never been able to short pit like that and put fresh tires back on the car either. He would have had to ride it out for those last 20 laps, and he would have been behind Marlin trying to do it. There was a rival willing to take him out because he already tried a couple times up to that point. 10 laps to go at Bristol. 2.5 minutes or less away from the finish now? Labonte's done trying to pass on the outside. He did it on Kenny Wallace a couple laps prior, and he accidentally made contact with him. And thought about doing it on Brett Bodine and Elliott Sadler there and thought better of it. Kind of played smart like he did again for pretty much the entire race, mostly the first 400 up to this point. Not wanting to go 3 wide underneath Bodine and Sadler, as tempting as it might look. Them being slower and on older tires, too. How about that? 5 cautions today, assuming we don't get a caution in the last couple laps of today's race. We're going to run the final 166 laps of this race caution-free. That'll be by far the longest green flag run by more than double the amount of laps. As the second longest green flag run, which was only 70 laps, and that was when we started the race. Ran the opening 70 laps under green. 5 laps to go now at Bristol for Terry Labonte. I didn't even think Labonte was close enough to hit Steve Park there, but I guess he was. A little contact there as well. Definitely calm. No tense pressure right now at all. One of his nicknames is the Iceman for his cool demeanor. Two to go. Sterling Marlin's right in front of Labonte. Labonte's not even going to try to pass him. He's just going to stay behind him for the last lap and a half. No need to try and pass Sterling Marlin. White flag this time. Labonte stays behind Marlin. Half a lap to go. Well, the losing streak is finally over. Terry Labonte has won his first race of the season at Bristol. Terry Labonte, first win of the season. A dominating final 170 laps of today's Food City 500, virtue of a Ward Burton phantom caution for exiting pit road that trapped the field 2 laps down. He won by those same amount of laps. Holding his own, a little pit strategy late as well to make sure he was going to make it on fuel. And he's going to burn it until the engine burns down itself. There it goes. And a fairly clean race car, to say the least, as well for Terry Labonte today. A max points day for the first time this year. And it comes with his first win of the season. And it comes at one of the more difficult tracks to drive. I was not expecting this to be the first win of the year, but there's Texas Terry Labonte, first win since the Gatorade Duel at the start of the year. I was sweating those last 100 laps, by the way. I was like, are we actually going to do this? Yes, we did. Well, that takes the bad luck off of Labonte, and he goes into another winnable racetrack for the next 2 races at Texas and then Talladega. It's a pretty cool looking trophy as well for the Food City 500. No more rivals. Well, Marlin might still be a rival, I don't know. Hey, look, we unlocked another Terry Labonte paint scheme. We got the Cheez-It car unlocked now. That's pretty cool. We might have to run that in the next race. I was going to run the Mini Wheats paint scheme next because we haven't used it. There's another Looney Tunes paint scheme as well. We had the Roadrunner car. I think there's a Wile E. Coyote one as well. So we've got a couple paint schemes we haven't used yet this year. So that's pretty cool. We unlocked another paint scheme. I didn't even think we... Oh, yeah, that's right. We have 2 more. So there's still another paint scheme left out there. I think it's the Got Milk scheme. So bonus. Take a look at the finishing results to today's race. 5 cautions for 15 caution laps. And 5 lead changes. It felt like we had more than that. Most of them were in the first 200 laps of the race. 2 hours, 25 minutes total time on today's race. That was actually really quick. Only 5 cautions. That's pretty good for Bristol standards, especially in this game. Look at Labonte. 395 laps led today. It didn't even feel like we led that much, but we did. A lot of it was because of that caution with about 170 to go, which kind of trapped the field 2 laps down. Because Labonte was the only driver that stayed out of the pits that was still on the lead lap. So that pit strategy just played perfectly to his favor with that final and 5th caution of the race. Tony Stewart, who started second, finishes second, but he didn't lead a single lap today, so no bonus points there. Ryan Newman finishes third after starting 42nd. Great day for him. Dale Jr. finishes 4th, started 4th. Your pole sitter, Kurt Busch, who led 66 laps to start the race, finishes 5th to round out the top 5. Dale Jarrett 6th, Rusty Wallace 7th. 8th was Jeff Gordon. Ricky Craven, the Daytona 500 winner, 9th. Let me tell you, Ricky Craven's had a solid season. He's got, I believe, 3 or 4 top 10s already this year, and obviously that win in the 500 pretty much out of nowhere as well. So he's had a strong season to start. And Jimmy Johnson, who led laps early, was in the top 3 for pretty much the first 170 laps. That caution, he got a bad end of that. I think he was one of the drivers that actually got trapped 3 laps down instead of 2 laps down. So he came back to finish. He got one of his laps back late there, with Labonte having to pit in extra time, but still, Johnson finishes 10th to round out that top 10. Frankie Smith, welcome to the stream as well here right at the end. So we'll take a look at the point standings real quick and the upcoming races. Already mentioned Texas and Talladega coming up this week on the channel for Thunder 04. Texas is coming up tomorrow. So the next full race live stream on the channel will be NASCAR Thunder 04. Once again, it will be tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when we go to Texas Motor Speedway for the Samsung Radio Shack 500. Aaron's 499 at Talladega will be the following race. Can't remember exactly what the 2 races are after that point. I think we've got the All-Star race coming up pretty soon as well. Now we're locked into the All-Star race with that win also. 6 different winners in the first 6 races of the season, might I add. So after Talladega, we go to Martinsville, and then California Speedway will be the next 4 races on the schedule. Matt Kenseth's still the points lead. Actually, he took away... No, yeah, that's right. He did take the points lead after he won at Darlington. And he lost ground to Bobby Labonte, but he's still 11 points ahead of him. And again, 6 races into the season... Until we get about 12 races in, the points are going to be compacted together with the top half of the field, because even after 6 races, the top 18 are still within 1 race of each other. So, again, that's not going to really space apart much. And, again, that win, we cut it down quite a bit. We gained about 70 points on the points leader, Kenseth, today with the max points day and the win, and we go from 38 to 27th in points. So, again, how much you can gain at the beginning of the year, even if you get off to a rough start, until we get 12 races in, that's where we're really going to decide on whether or not we're actually going to be championship contenders or not. So for right now, we're just going to try to hopefully go for more wins, and it really helps that Terry Labonte was able to get his first win of the season today. So thanks everybody for watching here. Again, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow at Texas Motor Speedway for the Samsung Radio Shack 500 on the channel for NASCAR Thunder 04. Next race for the final season of this game on the channel with your fan-voted driver, Terry Labonte. Thanks everybody for watching. Like, share, but most importantly, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Be on the lookout for another video for the start of another series later today. And we also do these full race live streams with a realistic broadcast every day. Again, tomorrow at 6 will be the next one. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your afternoon. Go Pack Go, and I'll see you next time.